This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
Now, Binghamton Now. Now, Binghamton Now. Bob Joseph with you. It's Wednesday. Give us a call at 607-772-1290.
WNBF.
And away we go. Yes, we will. On the Binghamton Now program, thank you so much for being with us as another day dawns. The FBI director will be testifying before Congress shortly, so we'll monitor that. As far as other news you can use, Kamala Harris has probably chosen her running mate. Unfortunately, she has not told Binghamton Now who her running mate will be. So I guess we just have to continue to guess. If you have suggestions, just in the event she hasn't decided, you can call in. Okay? I'm sure she wouldn't mind suggestions. I still think she probably knows exactly who her vice presidential choice will be. Yeah, I know you're saying Kathy Hochul. Well, maybe Kathy Hochul, maybe AOC, maybe Hillary, maybe Oprah, maybe Gayle King. I don't know. Who's to say? Who are we to judge? So if you have thoughts about the running mate for Kamala Harris, you know we're living in interesting times, and this may turn out to be the most interesting month in our lifetime. So far, here we are, only up to July 24th. I still have a sense that the best is yet to come in terms of big news. There's been so much big news in the first 3.5 weeks of the month, but remember, we still have another 7 days. July isn't done yet. As Bachman Turner Overdrive might sing, baby, you haven't seen anything yet. It's 10:11. Let's check out the telephone lines. Hi, you're caller number one. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
From the town of Dickinson. I like to talk about that lady from Secret Service.
Yeah, the Secret Service director who just quit.
Yeah, I know she could. But will she stand regular trial?
There will be no trial. No, as far as I know, she gets to quit and she keeps all of her government benefits. She probably gets to retire with, I would think, a decent annual gift from the taxpayers because of her many years of service to the U.S. government.
Yeah, but Bob, it's heartbreaking for somebody to do something like that. But the way that I feel, Bob, she should have answered to the Secret Service men. But from what I understand, she waited until she was good and ready.
Well, and clearly she wasn't ready to give many answers. I saw a lot of her testimony on Monday, and I got to say, she didn't provide much new information. She didn't say much beyond what we knew already.
No, I was just wondering if she was going to stand regular trial. I mean, that to me is ignorancy. That's how I feel, Bob. I mean, we're paying her wages, and she messed it up.
Well, she didn't do it intentionally.
Yeah. Well, Bob, I'm glad she resigned because I was afraid of that she might. Oh, I don't know. she might be in bigger trouble.
Now that she quit, she's in no trouble at all. I think maybe because people treated her so poorly at the hearing, because Democrats and Republicans were all calling on her to resign. So I think she called their bluff. And now that she's no longer employed by the federal government, she doesn't have to answer any more questions from anybody.
Yeah, well, it was a sad thing that it happened, Bob. It was really, really sad. But really, it could have been prevented if the Secret Service men, got to him in time, but unfortunately they didn't.
No, they didn't. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, Beverly. No, something happened there, and I don't know. I have a lot of questions, but they'll never be answered now that she quit. So I don't blame her for quitting, because, people were giving her so much flack. There's only so much a person should have to take, right? Nobody was being nice to her at all on Monday. So I guess after putting up with everybody, I think everybody who spoke with her at the hearing on Monday appeared angry, disrespectful. Some of the language used was harsh. So I figure she went home Monday night and decided, I'm not going to put up with any more of this. I'll just quit. I'll quit, and I'll show them. I'll quit, get all my government benefits, and she's probably right now on a beach somewhere in South Carolina having a Zima and listening to the program. She gets the last laugh, and she doesn't have to answer a question from anyone. It's 10:16. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Bob from Boston.
Yeah.
You're not sticking up for her, are you?
No.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely not. No. I, of all people, you know me, Bob. I want a few answers.
Well, she was not treated bad. She screwed up.
She did, but that was no excuse for the disrespectful treatment that she was subjected to on Monday.
Like with your buddy Mayorkas or something. These people are liars. They lie about everything, and if I was questioning them, boy, they would hear something. I love Nancy Mace. You're full of.
Oh, I do too. Nancy May, especially her. Remember this song, and Rod Stewart, I think, sang the song about Nancy May back in the 70s, and it was a great song, and little did I realize it was about her.
You're not funny, you know that. Anyway, I've been listening lately now. I usually try not to.
Well, now more than ever, this program is essential. If people want to know what's going on, you really have to listen to this program.
No, who cares what's going on? They'll find out themselves.
No, they're not going to find out the right stuff. This program gives people the right stuff. Plus, it gives you the views of the people, so you can find out what your friends and neighbors are actually thinking.
Who cares? I think what do
you sound like Melania. Remember when she wore that jacket? I don't care. Do you? We all care. Except for Melania Trump, she doesn't care. She doesn't have to. The rest of us, we have to care. I care. You care. Everybody listening to this program cares.
You don't care about anything but yourself, Joseph, though you ain't lying to me. Hey, let me go. You're always talking about Stormy Daniels and stuff.
Yeah, what did she do now?
What about Willie Brown?
So, what about Willie Brown? What about Stormy Daniels? What about anybody? I mean, in the end, who really cares? Do you?
Those high-paying jobs in San Francisco.
Hey, like you said, who cares? I don't care. Do you?
Yeah, you don't care. Of course you don't.
Why should I care? I'm like Melania Trump wearing that jacket. I don't care. Do you? I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care at all about Willie Brown. I don't care about Stormy Daniels. I don't care about them. They have no bearing. Those people have no bearing on the future of this great country.
You let Vinny go on for 15 friggin' minutes without one interruption, and you're interrupting me constantly, talking over me.
Well, why not? Do you care?
Oh, man, I'm telling you. People, wake up.
Hey, people, smell the coffee, baby. I say people had better wake up. They better start paying attention. Now we have a couple of, we have at least one good presidential candidate. Now we have to see who she chooses as her running mate. Could it be AOC? Could it be Kathy Hochul? Could it be Hillary? Could it be Beyonce? I don't know. She's keeping us guessing.
Boy, you're weird, man. You're moxie drinking freak.
Yeah, and? What about it? So what? I drink some Moxie. So what? That's what. Dial tone. That's when people finally run out of anything reasonable, they resort to the dial tone. That's okay. I've heard it before. When you run out of good things to say, let's go to the dial tone. It's 10:20. This is Bob Joseph, serving America on a real radio program. 607-772-1290. You're listening to 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com.
Providing you with the best solutions of your lifetime. The KSO Insurance Weekly Spotlight with Karen Sweet O'Neill on News Radio 1290 WNBF.
And the following segment is sponsored by KSO Insurance Solutions. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Bob. Boy, feisty morning.
Feisty, the way we like it.
Feisty. Ah.
It was almost
boring.
Well, it was feisty. There's two things I like: feisty calls and zesty sessions. So, this was at least a feisty call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what we want. Anyway,
voice your opinion.
Yes, voice your opinion, and that's the whole point of this program is to uphold the First Amendment. Okie dokie. Freedom of speech.
And here we go.
Yes.
You want me to have freedom of speech?
I do.
Okay. You know what I'm going to talk about?
Yeah, I know. I have a clue because don't tell anybody, but I was taking some notes about 3 hours ago, so I'll let you continue.
Right. That's right. You're double duty this week.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we're talking about turning 65. Are you turning 65 soon? And if you are, that means you're Medicare eligible. So exactly when are you Medicare eligible? It's basically a three-prong approach, okay? You have a 7-month window to enroll in Medicare, and that means 3 months before the month you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and then 3 months after you turn 65. So those are the eligibilities, all right? And what is Medicare? Most people know that it's health care for people that are 65 or older. There's 4 parts. Part A is hospital coverage, and that's generally not a monthly premium because most people have paid for it through their taxes all their working years. Part B, however, is medical insurance, and that's things, Bob, like doctor services, outpatient care, walk-in clinics, diagnostic testing, and all other medical services. That is attached to a monthly premium. And the monthly premium that you will pay is dependent on how much your income is for the previous 2 years. And there's a scale, and we're not going to go into the scale. Right now, the standard monthly premium for Part B is $174.90 a month. And then it goes up incrementally as your income has gone up in the last 2 years. Part C is our Medicare Advantage plans. And that's an alternative way to receive your benefits. And it typically includes, out-of-pocket costs and Part D prescription coverage. Medicare Advantage plans are very similar, the way they work, Bob, to your employer coverage, where you have copays and deductibles and out-of-pocket limits and that sort of thing. And monthly premiums may apply, and there are some that are actually zero monthly premium. The last but not least is Part D prescription drug coverage, and that's a specific standalone type of drug coverage for people that are 65 or older, and it's offered by private insurance companies. And yes, monthly premiums do apply for that. But some Medicare Advantage plans that I just talked about previous to the Part D include prescription coverage, so you don't need a standalone plan. So there's a lot of different ways, to enroll, to get your coverage through Medicare. Now, if you're turning 65 and you're working full-time, or you're covered by a spouse who's working full-time, then in many cases, you can enroll in Part A. But if you enroll in Part A of Medicare, you're not going to be able to contribute to your HSA if indeed you have one. So be careful about that. Part B, and that's where you're paying that at the minimum $174.90 a month. You can delay signing up for Part B if, number one, you're working full-time at a company with 20 or more employees, or if your employer has less than 20 employees, or let's say you're self-employed, guess what? Then you need to enroll in Part B when you're first eligible to avoid penalties, because you don't want the penalties that Medicare, basically Social Security, can attach to you, and basically they're for life. Now, if you're turning 65, you can enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan. That's optional. And if you have a Medicare Advantage plan, you still need to enroll in Part A and B of Medicare, but your primary coverage would be Medicare Part C. And if you have coverage, drug coverage through your employer, then you don't have to sign up for a standalone Medicare Part D prescription plan once you turn 65, as long as your drug coverage is considered credible coverage. Now, if you leave employment or you don't have credible coverage, then you need to sign up within a 63-day period for Part D prescription coverage, or a Medicare Advantage plan that has prescription coverage, or again, you'll be in a penalty period. So there's a lot of different ways that you can enroll in Medicare, a lot of different scenarios. The easiest, if you're turning 65, Bob, and you're not working, and you're currently collecting Social Security, guess what? You're automatically going to be sent your Medicare Part A and Part B card. You'll be automatically enrolled about 3 months prior to you turning 65. So that's the easiest way. If you're not collecting Social Security, then you're going to need to enroll yourself. And you can do that several ways. You can call Social Security, enroll over the phone, make an appointment, go in person, or you can simply go online, socialsecurity.gov. So there's a lot going on when you turn 65, but you want to just make sure that, any coverages that you're entitled to and that you want to participate in so you aren't penalized, that you do so in a timely manner. And if you need help, that's what we do. It's one of the things we do up at KSO Insurance Solutions. You can reach us several ways for an appointment. You can simply give us a call at 607-772-4898. You can Google us at KSO Insurance. All our contact information comes up, including our website. You can make an appointment that way. Or if you missed the phone number, simply go to a phone book, and we have a big display ad under insurance in the yellow pages.
Excellent advice.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, I appreciate it. Hope you have a good afternoon. Watch out. It could rain.
Right? Good Lord. I'm telling you.
That's what I heard. Wow. I took a swing by the weather deck and talked to a weather source who will remain anonymous, and I was advised, there is a risk of rain. I said,
every day.
I said, your secret is safe with me. I'll only tell the people who listen to the show.
Right. How about that rain that they were predicting in Florida?
Yes.
Like the dirty rain?
I know.
I was like, ooh, that's pretty yucky.
It was enough to make you sick.
Well, I would stay inside. But at least we didn't get the Canadian weather like we did last year.
Yeah, but it's
summer.
coming soon.
Gosh.
It's
I
coming
hope
soon
it's not.
because I heard that the wildfires this year have been delayed because they're going to make them even more powerful. So the smoke that we endured in June last year will be only a fraction of what we're going to get during the first week of September when the kids are going back to school.
You better be wrong and just kidding around.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are.
I would never. I would never predict something like that. Anyway, I appreciate your time. Take care, and we'll be in touch.
Okay, Bob. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks. And our segment was sponsored by KSO Insurance Solutions right here at News Radio WNBF. All right, I'm going to open the phones again against my better judgment. 607-772-1290. Those lines are open. Those lines are open. And now you are entitled to call if you dare. Binghamton Now, WNBF. Yes, he is. 10:36. What is his name again?
Bob Joseph.
All right. Enough. It's bad enough the first time. Randy in the town of Dickinson, you're on the air.
Shalom, Bob. I'd like to offer my opinion on who I think Kamala should choose for her running mate.
Okay.
Okay, to me, there's two qualities you want in a vice president. You want somebody that's going to bring something to the table that you don't possess. And the other quality in the vice president is you want somebody who's going to help you swing those battleground and swing states, to help you capture the votes there and for some more support. Because that's where elections are won and lost, in the swing states.
All right, so Josh Shapiro.
Well, she has her vetted down to the four people now: the governor of North Carolina, the governor of Tennessee, and the governor of Pennsylvania, and the senator from Arizona. And those people, I'm sure they're all fine men of quality, and they probably help her ticket. You know, they possess moderation. They're more moderate Democrats than Kamala. Kamala's kind of an over the top.
Okay, and remember, her name is Kamala, not Kamala. Kamala Harris. So, cut to the chase. Who do you recommend?
Well, I just want to say, and I don't think those four candidates are going to help her swing any swing states at all. I mean, they're not going to make any difference at all. My choice would be Nikki Haley.
All right, I agree. Thank you very much. I agree. Nikki Haley would do it. That if you want Kamala Harris to win, she should choose Nikki Haley, because that will bring in a lot of women voters, could even bring in a few Republican voters and lots of independents. So it would be I think it would be a very, very well-balanced ticket. Kamala Harris, Nikki Haley in 2024. Start printing those bumper stickers. John from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, I'm going to talk about music, so relax. John Mayall died at 90 years old. Him and Paul Butterfield really were the kings of the reconfigured blues, and they both had a commonality. John Mayall was a finder of talent. This guy found Eric Clapton, and this, of course, his album, The Blues Breakers, was, before the Led Zeppelin, and I can't tell you the significance of that record, along with Blues from the Laurel Canyon. When Clapton left to form Cream, everybody that followed John Mayall was so despondent. What are you going to do? And lo and behold comes Mick Taylor and then Peter Green. Peter Green, pound for pound, could hold his own with Eric Clapton. So it's very interesting how many people are passing on. It's waves and waves and waves of people with claims to musical fame. But it's it's a very sad day. Mail started out on the Hammond M3, a screaming little organ. It's a smaller organ than a B3, and him and Brian Auger really mastered that instrument. So I don't know. I'm very, very, very sad, but it shows you the sheer amount of talent, of musical talent that was out there in jazz and in country and in rock and roll, both vocally and instrumentally, has depleted to the point where what you got is Kid Rock. I mean, I never saw the guy perform before until the RNC convention, and I thought about it, and I thought, well, here Michigan gave you the great Motown records, Berry Gordy, and the last of the original Four Tops passed away. But I saw this Kid Rock, and I began to think it was a comedy act, a more cowbell situation.
I have nothing against him. I mean, he's a good kid, but still musically leaves a bit to be desired. Thank you very much, John. He makes a good point. We have lost in just the last several months some incredible musical talent. So we certainly are forced to really consider what is left. There's very little musical talent left, except for Bob Dillman. It's 10:41 at WNBF. Fortunately, he still is with us. Matt from Binghamton, you're on the air.
Hey, I would agree with John about John Mayall being a giant, and I love towards later in his career he did an experiment without a drummer, and so he had bumper music, California, the song California, if you get a chance this morning by John Mayall. But anyway, that's on that album, from that album. But I really tune into your show a lot because it makes me laugh. And I think one of the funniest lines I ever heard would be Moxie drinking free.
That was good. You have to admit that's the first time I've heard it, but I'm going to check with the company that makes coffee mugs. I would like to get 1,000 coffee mugs made and sell them. Of course, as you know, Matthew, a portion of the proceeds will go to charity. But that'll be my new catchphrase.
And then we went right from that into a commercial. I don't know if you listened to the commercials that are broadcast on the station, but if I buy Mando, I'll be the sweet-smelling man I was meant to be, or something.
Well, you get enough of that, and then you dive into a pool full of Moxie, and
Right.
What can I say?
Right.
I could say more, but I think I'll leave the rest to your imagination.
So anyway, I called about Donald Trump's biggest nightmare has come to fruition. Just imagine what he's thinking now. He goes, I am running against a prosecutor. He hates prosecutors. He hates everything about prosecutors. And especially a black woman prosecutor, person of color. I mean, I don't think he's going to get much sleep in the next 6 days or whatever it is, 5 days.
I think 104 days. The only thing that could make it more complete is if she chooses as her running mate Tish James. So you have Kamala Harris and Tish James, and I can almost guarantee if that's the combination, because that ticks all the boxes, those two would win by at least 12 million votes, because women, even some Republican women, would vote for them, and people who support law and order. Can you imagine two prosecutors, a well-known prosecutor from the state of California, former attorney general, and then the current New York State attorney general? I mean, if you're a law and order person, you almost definitely would be voting for the ticket of Harris James.
Yeah, he was, I think, before this happened, before Joe dropped out, that was probably dusting off or getting ready to type in the names on all the pardon certificates he was going to give out, including his own name. And he is now having nightmares every single day and even in the afternoon.
Funniest darn thing, Matthew, is if as many people expect that Kamala Harris is victorious in November, the funniest thing would be her first official act after being sworn in on January 20th is actually to pardon Donald Trump. And she could do it, mainly. First, as president, she has that power. And second, we already know she has a good sense of humor.
Well,
I'm not saying that would be in the interest of justice, but I think what it would do, this is why I suggest that she consider doing that after she's sworn in next January 20th. Because the swearing-in ceremony should be over by about 12:20. So at about 12:30, she goes into the Oval Office, and they already have the paperwork there. Pardon Donald J. Trump for any and all crimes that he's ever committed up to this point, up until 12:30 p.m. on January 20th, 2025, and then announce it to the American people. And can you imagine how difficult Dan Bongino and Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, how difficult it would be for all of them, even Tucker Carlson, to criticize President Harris? So that shuts them down immediately. They won't even attempt to impeach her. The Republicans in the House would say, wait a second, we were planning to impeach her as soon as she got sworn in, even though she's done nothing wrong, but that's just the way we roll. And then suddenly at 12:30 on the afternoon of January 20th, she announces that she's going to pardon Donald J. Trump. And then suddenly the Republicans say, hey, well, we can't impeach someone who just pardoned number 45.
There was a few things attached to that I could there'd have to be a list of things that he admitted to, and then pay all the money he owes to the bilking taxpayers out of all the property devaluation he did. Several things, and then I could see pardon him. I
think he should pay what he owes in terms of past debts for business transactions, also the legal settlements that he's been ordered to pay. Yeah, he has to pay everything, and then in exchange for finally paying what he owes everyone, whatever it turns out to be, he's a billionaire, so he certainly has the money. So he pays off everybody that he owes. And then after that, he gets pardoned for any possible criminal activity, so everybody should be happy.
Yeah, and then we could maybe put a lot of things on negotiate, but one I would put on is a gag order. And second of all, so they can never be part of the discourse again.
No, unfortunately, as a talk show host, I have to disagree there. No gag order. In fact, if he is pardoned, he's to be encouraged to appear on small radio talk shows for all of 2025. He should not appear on any network program. He should only do talk shows in upstate New York so he can get his message out.
I'm just suggesting we throw that into that negotiate with that as possible thing.
All right. And then he could also, we could have him over as when I host a little picnic up at Round Top with Lamb Speedies for Binghamton Now listeners. He could be the guest speaker in July of next year.
If we keep talking like this, then a friend that goes up to Round Top, we got to be careful because it's pretty steep up there, and if he could drive him over the edge, it could be.
No, that guy wouldn't be allowed. The Secret Service wouldn't allow that guy. The Secret Service already has learned that you have to increase security around former presidents. So, yeah, even though he'll still be the former guy, he'll have better security than he's ever had. So Only certain people who can get clearances, you and me and Vinny and Vic from the Forks, will get cleared by the Secret Service. We have no problem, but people who are hotheads won't be allowed.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
So anyway,
All right. Well, thank you. I'm going to try to squeeze in another call here since the lines are so busy. Good morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning there, Bob. It's Dave from Vestal.
Yeah, welcome back, my friend, to the show that will never end.
That never ends. Hey, man, you know, I was listening, and I was listening closely to Matt there, and you notice he doesn't sound really that excited about. I mean, I know he was pumping her up for being prosecutor against Trump, but she's not running for prosecutor. She's running for president of the U.S. And you notice he doesn't seem to be that excited about her, Bob, because I think he realizes what a cackling. Well, I don't want to go any further, but I don't want to call her too many names, Bob, but he realizes that she's a terrible candidate.
Well, the problem is, she doesn't have to be a great candidate because she's running against you-know-who. Now, if this was a competitive race, say if she was running against somebody like, Richard Milhous Nixon or Ronald Reagan, a GOP luminary, then she would have to be one of the best candidates ever. But look, she's running against a convicted felon.
Well,
by the way, it gives me no pleasure to point that fact out to you. He wasn't convicted of one count. I'm afraid he was convicted of nearly 36 felonies.
Let's talk about the genius that has been coronated here, Bob. Let's talk about her. I mean, this is the biggest thing going now since bread, right, Bob? She's going to be wonderful. Listen to how excited they are.
Yes, she is the greatest thing going since sliced Jimmy Roma bread from the Union District of Endicott. Absolutely.
They're betting on a woman of color, whether she has brains or not. And you can't say anything bad against her because you're going to be a racist.
Well, then why do you keep saying bad things about her?
Because she's terrible.
But you just said if you say something bad about her, you're going to be branded a racist. And so every time that you talk about her, you've said something bad.
Do they have, to be honestly now, do they have anyone in that party, any female in that party that's considered a genius? I mean, that even is half smart, that could be
AOC.
Okay. Yeah, she's number one, Bob, on the list. Yep. And then Kami's next. She's second. Then we have to go with the rest of the squad.
All right.
The order we got to put them in.
And Willie Brown.
You know, ask Willie about her, Bob.
I don't want to. It's none of my business. I don't want to ask Willie Brown about any of his relationships. As Melania said, I don't care. Do you? Who cares? Who cares? I don't. Why would I care? Why would I care about Willie Brown and his relationships? I don't care.
You should care about a possible president's background. If she was ever elected, Bob, you want to know about her, don't you?
I don't want to know that. I'm serious. It's not my business. Get your mind out of the gutters.
Okay, Bob.
Come on. Come on, man. It's like Bongino says, we need more of the stick to the issues crowd, not these people trying to divert my attention with some sort of shiny object. It's 10:54. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Andy?
Yeah, Andy. Where are you calling from?
Yes, sir. Oh, Johnson City. I'm sorry.
All right. What's up?
With all of this name calling and racism and all this black and white vote, what about the blacks that are half white and half black? Who's the racist when they claim to be just all black? No
one's a racist. If if you talk about your heritage, you can talk anything you want about your heritage. You're not being a racist. If people say racist things about others, then they're being racist. But if you're talking about your heritage, there's nothing wrong with discussing your heritage. Be proud of your heritage.
Claim to be Polish and Ukrainian. I'm not just Ukrainian or Polish, but these people, they got more white in them than black, and they, for their advantage, it seems like they claim to be black. I don't understand that.
Well, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. They're proud of their heritage. You're proud of your heritage. I'm proud of mine. And they're proud of their heritage. So that's all that matters. And, you know, there's no need in hyper-analyzing someone's heritage. I mean, if you're going to do that, go to Ancestry.com.
They're proud of a splinter part of their heritage, and they claim to be black for their advantage.
And tell me how this affects you.
Well, it affected me quite a bit. Not only the blacks, but when I got out of the military.
Oh, you're talking about history over the decades. I can't help. You know, and we're down to a few seconds before the break, so I can't help what happened to you over the decades. I thought you were talking about some current candidate and how some current candidate in the news, how their heritage is going to affect you. It's 10:56, live and local. Binghamton Now with Bob Joseph. We've got more calls coming up right here on WNBF. Yeah, let's go back to California. Scotty, the Golden Gate Boy, live from California, home of Kamala and all the good things.
Morning, Bobby. How you doing?
Lovely. Just lovely. What's going on there in California?
Well, you know, I was listening to some of your misanthropic viewers. That's my SAT word of the day, misanthropic.
Thank you.
Boy, they are riled up, aren't they? Holy cow, they're angry. Good Lord.
They're outraged. I don't know if they're outraged or enraged, or maybe just raged.
I got some good news for them. I got a bargain on Let's Go Brandon T-shirts if they want to buy one.
Yeah, they won't even sell those at Big Lots. And Big Lots will sell almost anything, and even Big Lots turn the truck around and say, get those out of here.
Get them out of here. Anyhow, you know, I hear one of your callers, he's, you know, misanthropic. He's angry, and he's saying, Kamala, no, she's not smart, this and that. I'd love to put her up against the former guy in a Jeopardy game or a IQ test, because the former guy couldn't spell cat if you spotted him the C and the A.
Yeah, I'd put the two of them. The greatest competition of all time could be on ABC. They could cancel funny videos and put on the two of them, the two presidential candidates playing checkers.
Well, while the Republicans were playing checkers, the Democrats played chess and made them pick J.V. Dance. You know, they made them pick J.D. Vance, and now they're regretting every minute of it.
Yeah, well, the only good thing about J.D. Vance that I've seen so far is he sports an impeccable beard.
You know what the former guy said? He said, J.V. Dance is like the son he never had. Then somebody had to remind him he had three sons. He goes, well, the bearded son I never had. Then somebody had to say, you know, Twiddly-Dee and Twiddly-Dum have beards.
Hey there. That's wrong. Let's stop that right now. Let's nip that kind of commentary in the bud. I think all of Trump's kids, or at least many of them, still sport his last name.
Why didn't Barton go to the convention? I don't understand that.
That's the enduring question. You know, my theory, and it's only a theory, and obviously we can talk about him because now he's over 18. I believe he turned 18 several weeks ago. So he is now an adult, and as an adult, he makes adult decisions. And I think he made probably a thoughtful choice because he wants to keep his options open. He would like, I think, in the long term, over the next few decades, to try to actually unsully the family name. So if he wants to potentially consider running for office, could start off as, I don't know, mayor of Candor, New York, or someplace like that, and then work his way up. He could ultimately become a presidential candidate, but he also doesn't want any sort of pictures or video linking him too closely with the former guy.
You know, I wish him the best of luck, and the best of luck to Barton. But did you see that rally that Kamala had in Milwaukee yesterday.
Oh,
People
people were on fire. The people, I mean, and I have to be careful because Sean Hannity would say they were literally on fire. No, Sean, they weren't literally on fire, fortunately for them, but the enthusiasm was palpable, and they were at least figuratively on fire. That crowd was energized.
You know, they had to get a bigger auditorium for it. Originally, I guess it was like, they wanted 1,000 or something. And I think it was 6,000. I don't know. But she's gotten $100 million, and she got some of my mayonnaise since Sunday. It can't be stopped. And like she said yesterday, we're not going back. We're not going back.
What do you think of the idea that someone raised, and I don't know if they were being serious or not, that Kamala Harris chooses another prosecutor, the New York State Attorney General, Tish James, to be her running mate? What about this juicy prospect of having two prosecutors on the ticket? Two prosecutors would be on the Democratic ticket versus a felon and an author.
What about Gretchen Whitmer? Boy, because Gretchen Whitmer is next prosecutor, governor of Michigan. Set, match.
Yep.
Game, set, and match.
All right. Well, stay tuned. I think we're in for some exciting conversation today and tomorrow here on the program. Thank you. That is the report from Northern California making contemporary news. Let's go to the west side of Binghamton. Gary, you're on the air. Gary? We lost Gary. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Johan.
Oh, from Endicott. Johan, conveniently located off East Main Street.
Absolutely. Concurrently whisking my way through the town of Candor, New York, which you just mentioned.
Isn't it funny? Isn't that ironic when something like that happens?
It is. I'm going to get a load of fresh goat dairy, milk, cheese, the whole mill, from a local farm located in the area, and I figured that I wanted to acknowledge the fact that you were mentioning Candor, seemingly innocuous place in the town, or excuse me, in the state of New York, but the reality is it has its part, and it's very important.
Yep, and remember, the legendary Harry Chapin wrote a song about the mayor of Candor.
He did. Yes, he did.
So what can you say? But I'll tell you, one of the funny things that happens sometimes, I listen to the radio a lot when I'm driving the car, and sometimes, say, I'll be driving my car, and just out of the blue, and I'm probably listening to NBF because I want to listen to only the highest quality stations, and say out of the blue, I'll be driving, say, on East Main Street, heading past UE High School, and then I'll be stopped at the intersection there of Washington Avenue, and then I'm heading east toward Endwell, and then wouldn't you know it, there's a commercial on for a local establishment right off East Main Street, and I say, isn't that a coincidence? And it's happened to me, Johan. It's happened to me at least a couple of times. And you would say, well, Bob, of course it happens because you have advanced access to the commercial log, so you know when commercials are going to come up. And the truth is, I never look ahead the next hour, next day to see when commercials run. But that's happened. Honestly, it's happened to me at least twice.
I figured you had an app on your phone where you could instantaneously have a commercial play at any time of the day because of the established, thing you have at the radio station.
Well, the truth is, yes, I have that power, but I don't abuse it.
Well, that's good, because otherwise there'd be a place in Endicott always having their commercials.
Wouldn't that be funny? People would be like, that's interesting. We just heard a commercial for that 3 minutes ago, and here we go again, and here we go again. And it'll be like deja vu all over again.
So just let it be known that place in Endicott will be flush with goat milk and goat products within an hour.
All right. It's fresh and delightful.
It is. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, thanks, Johan. Have a great day. 11:17 at WNBF. Life is weird. That's all I can say. I don't even know. Some people say, but Bob, there's no such thing as a coincidence. And it's like, well, then what do you call it? I'm serious. What do you call it? Must be something. Hi, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Bill, calling from Tega Cay.
All right. Bill, where are you calling from?
Tega Cay, South Carolina.
Oh, okay, right. So what's up?
I'm gonna go do a little golfing later.
Oh, I just ran into a guy. I ran into a guy who actually spends about 6 months of the year in South Carolina. He's up here now, but I think 2 or 3 months, he'll be going back down to South Carolina. He loves golfing. He told me he loves Myrtle Beach. I think he's lived in Myrtle Beach now for several years, but he says the traffic now has gotten so out of control.
Yeah, Tega Cay is it's just outside of Charlotte, actually. It's not too far from Charlotte.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, then someday I'll take a trip down. I need to take my Goodwill tour to both North Carolina and South Carolina.
Tega Cay is really nice. They got a nice lake here, a nice golf club. Yeah, it's really nice. But I'm actually getting ready to leave the Carolinas and head back to Colorado for a little bit. My doctor's out there. I travel back and forth just every 4 or 5 months. I go to the doctor's out there, and then I come back. I just kind of, all right. Yesterday you had Vic, and you hung up on him because his radio was too loud. You had his radio. But the day before that, you had a caller, and you and the caller just sat there and listened to WNBF over the caller's radio. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just kind of, I don't know. I just you treat the different callers differently.
What are you, the chief? Excuse me, are you the chief of the talk show police?
No, it was just my opinion.
It's just my show. I'll do what I want. I'll do what I want when I want. Hey, it's what I did. What you referenced, I did what's called a bit. It was kind of funny because I was hearing the previous caller talk, and then I heard my voice, so I thought it was funny. You didn't like it? Whatever.
Well, no,
what I'll say? What I'll say to that? Guilty as charged. So, hand me my head figuratively on a platter. Nobody said that I'm consistent. The only thing that I can say in my defense is that I'm live and local. As soon as they roll out the AI version of me, you won't have to deal with that.
Then I might not listen.
No, you wouldn't. See, that's what makes the show beautiful. People every once in a while will say, well, Bob, you treated that one caller differently than someone else. And I say, yeah, there's no scripts. There's no rhyme. There's no reason. It's just a guy with a talk show trying to make it interesting and unpredictable.
Okay.
Yeah, well, and Vic... Now, here's the thing about what happened yesterday with Vic. Yes, I called him on it almost instantly. Please turn down your radio. One of the things about Vic is he's a very regular contributor to the program, and I will go so far as say he's a friend of the show. He's been a guest of the show. He's been in the studio. So Vic knows how on radio that you automatically turn your radio down when you're on the air. He didn't do it that time. Now, the other caller you mentioned, I don't think is a regular caller, so maybe I gave him a little more latitude.
Okay, that's I thought I'd mention.
Oh yeah,
that.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Every time people call in to express some sort of concern that I'm not treating everybody equally, I think that's good radio.
Okay.
If that's the biggest concern that you have in South Carolina, that I treated Vic differently than some other caller, if that truly is the biggest thing on your mind today to call the program, then I'm saying life is good.
Just thought actually, I tried to call the other day, and I couldn't get through. The phone would ring for a couple minutes, and then it would hang up on me. I don't know. I don't know if hang up, but it said the call could not go through. I tried several times to call.
Appreciate your persistence. Unfortunately, back in the day when I was growing up, we had this company. They called it New York Telephone. That's when nearly 100% of the calls would always go through. New York telephone is now history, and whoever runs the phone system these days doesn't have such a stellar record.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to the WNBF. Well, because Tony was on, and in fact, I'm wearing Tony's T-shirt right now.
Are you?
The idiot, the WNBF shirt. Yeah.
Yep. That's a classic. That's a classic shirt.
Yeah, I know. It's one of my favorites. It's nice and comfortable.
I still have one, and I don't know. Tony gave me one of his T-shirts, and I'm not sure if I ever wore it, but I still have it tucked away. And someday, just for kicks, I might wear that into the station just to give people a chuckle.
Yeah, well, I've had people read my shirts and say, "Idiot." It's like, yeah, read the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to read the whole thing so you understand the context.
Yeah. Also, I don't get to listen to your show every day. Did you ever try that, was it banana cream soda?
I still haven't. I will. I mean, I still have two 12-ounce cans of that banana soda. I think they call it Split, and it's tied in with the Savannah Bananas, the baseball team. It's a promotional type soda. And I got that in a Wego several weeks ago at the Strawberry Fest. So now it's been about a month and a half, and I haven't tried it yet. I will. I will say it's not going to be this week. That much I guarantee. But maybe next week. I know I've said this repeatedly. You haven't missed it yet. I will do a review of it because I'm still looking forward to it. Every once in a while, since I had two cans, every once in a while I've been tempted to try one of those cans at home. And then I thought, well, no, the implication I made for the audience was I would try it live on the radio and give people my first impression on the air. So I don't want to spoil my impression. I want to be surprised along with the listeners. I think I'm going to like it, but I'm going to wait. The first one of those cans that I try will be on the air, and hopefully it'll be sometime next week.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because, well, I'm not too far from Georgia. I mean, I was thinking about taking a detour down to get some if it's still available. But I had COVID a couple years ago, so some things don't taste normal to me.
Same here.
Taste weird.
By the way, same here. That's one thing you and I have in common. I have that lingering issue. My taste never got back to normal. My sense of smell and my sense of taste were permanently changed by COVID, and I don't talk about it too much on the air, but it's depressing. It's very,
it is.
It makes me sad because coffee doesn't taste the same. Don't get me wrong, I still drink coffee every day, and it still has a certain flavor. It's not the flavor it was before COVID.
Well, I drink my coffee black with sugar, so it still, that tastes kind of the same, but like, if I drink Pepsi, it tastes kind of the same as it did before. But if I drink Coke, it has a really bad taste to it.
Yeah.
And it's like milk. It has a weird taste to it, too. And a few other things.
Yeah, everything. But what I compared it to, I thought all the sensors, because most of your sensors that you use for taste are actually in your nose, and there are hundreds of sensors. And yep. I've told some people it's like my sensors got reconnected, but they were reconnected in the wrong order. It's like you yanked out 200 sensors for experiencing the sense of smell and the sense of taste, and then you had some drunk guy put those cables back in any old order. So now I'm getting a sense of smell and taste, but it's not wired correctly.
Yep, that's it. And you remember when you caught COVID? You remember when you first found out?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I remember the day. It was the first Saturday in December 2020, and I was looking forward to my cup of coffee at about 7:30 on a Saturday morning, and I could not taste the coffee, and I knew I had COVID. I knew that Monday morning I had to go to one of those quick testing centers. I called my boss and said, I won't be in Monday because I'm pretty sure I have COVID. Sure enough, got tested over at the quick testing center. And after an hour, found out I was positive for COVID. Then I called my boss and said, I'm not going to be into work this week. Get me that remote, because we had built up a case of remote equipment if I ever had to broadcast from home. I said, I'll be stopping by the station in 15 minutes. You put it out there on the side of the station. She did. It was weird. It was like a handoff. People probably thought it was a drug deal. She dropped, our general manager at the time, she dropped off the little case of broadcast equipment so we could do it from home. She put it next to my car. She went back in the station, and I got the equipment and put it in my trunk. It looked weird, and for the rest of the week, I did the program from home. So that was my December. It was my COVID story from December 2020.
Yeah, I went and I got in the shower to go to work, and I couldn't smell my body wash and stuff.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, okay, here we go. And so I called out, and then I got tested, and I had COVID.
So anyway, hey, I appreciate your calling in. Thanks for, by the way, thanks for paying close attention to the program. One thing that, I mentioned how sometimes people call and they say, well, you treated one caller differently than the other. What it proves to me is people are actually paying some pretty close attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest, there's a couple of your callers that, well, if they call in, I go do something else for a couple minutes. Not all the time, but sometimes I have something. But that's only a couple of the callers, and I don't know, maybe you could figure out, I'm not going to mention them.
No, I have absolutely no idea. Anyway, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it, and thanks for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. I'll call back again. Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care. It's 11:29. Bob Joseph, yes, friend of all. Friend of all. Am I consistent all the time? No. I'm just a human. It's, as I say, the thing about the program is it has to have a certain degree of unpredictability. So when you tune in to the program at some point in the not-too-distant future, and you say, sure sounds like Bob, but the one thing is, now every call sounds predictable. Every caller is being treated the same, and there doesn't seem to be any spontaneity to Bob. At that point, that AI has taken over. So something for you to look forward to. It's a brave new world. Bob Joseph, live in living color on NBF.
Saving money.
607-772-1290 is our number on this Wednesday morning. Gary from the West Side, good morning.
I was listening to your previous caller and about you not drinking the soda, and it made me think, gee, I'm wondering maybe that's why Ron doesn't call, because you never ate his Vegemite.
Could be. It could be. No, the truth is, I still have the jar of Vegemite in my desk, right where I put it. So one of these days, I'll eat it, and then he'll be listening and say, "Okay, I can call again." Yep.
Well, why don't you make it Friday? You could have the soda and a Vegemite sandwich at the same time, and then get it all out of the way, and then everything happens.
It's not going to be this Friday. Maybe next week, maybe Friday of next week.
Good deal. I'd like to point something out, Bob. A group of people is kind of getting the shaft with Kamala Harris here, because I've heard this quite a few times. Even on the news, they say she's the first woman of color who, and fill in the blank, okay? But that's what they say, the first woman of color. They don't say the first Asian woman of color. She's half Asian too, Bob. They get the shaft on this one. They never, I wouldn't say no, very rarely do they mention that she's also Asian. And I think that's a slight to the Asian people of the world.
Well, then I think they should call in and complain.
Have you been to the White House website, right? When you look up Kamala Harris, just go there real quick if you can pop that up. It's something strange there.
All right, hold on. I haven't been lately. Hold on.
All right, so they have a nice picture of her, right? A very good picture.
All right, well, the first picture that shows up is is the big guy. He's the first one who shows up. So where do I have to look? Under Vice President?
VP? Yeah, probably. But the name.
Oh, now
right?
I see it. Okay, it says Vice President Harris.
But her name, it says Kamala Harris, and then on the next line, it's Riss.
No, on my computer it says Kamala Harris.
Like all in one line?
Yeah, it looks perfect. So the formatting on my screen, but this is a nice screen. This is a big screen. So maybe the way you have your computer. Oh yeah, this is WNBF radio. Oh, so this is WNBF radio. We splurged. We bought one of the most expensive displays for the studio, so it looks perfect. But you're right, on an iPad, maybe the formatting isn't correct. But on this screen, it looks perfect.
Yeah. You didn't have the blue screen of death?
No, I was really disappointed. I was looking forward to taking Friday off. First thing I heard on the news when I woke up, the world is melting down. Technology is running amok. Airlines are shut down, and banks, and even media organizations. So I thought, oh, good. Well, I'll turn on First News Binghamton because I'm sure there'll just be a test pattern. And there I hear Don Morgan, everything was fine. And I thought, oh, no, I have to go to work. And then I came here, and almost everything seemed to be working fine for the program Friday morning. Actually, it was working better than usual, so I'm very suspicious. So they had this crowd punk company, whatever they are, crowd punk.
Crowd strike or something?
Crowd punk, whatever. So they shut down millions of computers around the world, and instead of shutting ours down so I could have the day off and have a 3-day weekend, they made our computers work better on Friday. I mean, then they went back to working. On Monday, they started working like they usually do. But Friday, they were working better than ever. And I wanted to call the guy at Crowdpunk and say, look, buddy, if you're going to start shutting down computers in the future, you start with the ones in the Binghamton Now studio so I can get a day off. But, so, yeah, no,
didn't happen. But, hey, I got a serious question for you. All right, so, because the AM, now you're FM too, but your radio station is the local radio station that gives out the news. Okay, so if there's a disaster in Binghamton, around here somewhere, and you report it, right? I go right to you guys. Okay, although I got to tell you, I did watch Channel 12 News, WBNG, when we had the tornadoes. You were on vacation, and they did an excellent job reporting that. They were on doing that. But so if something happens in our area and you lose, you get the blue screen of death, what's plan number 2? I hope you guys got an analog or something to keep us informed. What's step 2, Bob?
The answer is there isn't.
Uh-oh.
No, so at least I'm on. No, I mean, if something like that were to happen, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Now, okay, say our computers were knocked out by whatever happened with the troublemaker at Crowdpunk when he pushes through an update on Thursday night like he did. And then, see, the one thing about apparently our company doesn't subscribe to Crowdpunk, so we weren't affected for some reason. I mean, about 35,000 companies around the world are customers of that company, but evidently ours wasn't. But yeah, if it had happened, our IT person would have come in and probably figured out a workaround. But I think every circumstance is unique, so it would have to be studied, and then we could probably figure out some sort of analog way. But I don't know how we would have gotten, say, AP News. I know AP, Associated Press, was affected for at least a few hours on Friday morning. So that was one thing that did happen before I got here. Some of the AP stories didn't get transmitted because AP was crippled. And eventually they got their computers working again. But I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm dating myself. You don't have a ticker anymore, right?
No. But the truth is I do at home. I have probably the only teletype machine left in the Binghamton area, because when the teletype company switched over to printers, they didn't want to use the printers anymore, and they never came to pick it up. So I said, okay, if you kids aren't going to take your teletype machine, I'll take it.
Hey, Bob, if you could ask Mr. Garner next time you speak to him, they got this big, new, giant RV with all of the communications in it, and, we're going to go right to the site of the disaster, and we're going to, we'll be in contact with everyone. Well, I'm wondering if they had the blue. I know they shut down. I'm wondering if they had the blue screen at that, and if they had it in that RV or bus, whatever they call it, the communication center.
Well, they may have. Remember Friday, county government was shut down. The county,
What?
yeah. So I don't know. They probably did. Next time he's on, and by the way, he is scheduled to be on next week, I'll try to remember to ask him. All right?
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Thank you. It's 11:40 at WNBF. Rob and Port Crane, you're on the air.
Hi, Bob. I was watching C-SPAN yesterday. There was a House committee investigating the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. The Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner, Colonel Paris, was there. He answered almost every question. Now, we found out yesterday that this Secret Service woman, wouldn't tell us anything the day before, but we found out from Colonel Paris there that this guy was spotted an hour and 1 minute before the shots were fired. We also know that this guy got off 8 shots before he was taken out. 8 shots. The other interesting thing that came from that was 2 men. I'm not sure what agency they worked for, but they left their post. And their post overlooked that roof where that guy took the shots from. It was on the second, they were looking out the second floor window of a building right next door. They left to go look for this guy, supposedly. And most importantly, the last congressman to ask this Colonel Paris these questions was Mr. Kelly. He's from the 16th District of PA. He said that the Secret Service called him on July 5th, and they said, we're going to put Donald Trump's appearance at the Butler Farm Show. He says, no, not the farm show. He says, don't you mean the fair, the fairgrounds? And he says, no. The Secret Service said, no. Their minds were made up. He told them that the site wasn't right for the crowd that they can expect. They said, well, we're only expecting 6,000 to 1,000 people. His response, Mr. Kelly's response, was he told them that the last time that Donald Trump was there, he brought 55,000 people to Butler. The Secret Service person told him, well, he's not president anymore. Bob, this was all a huge setup.
No, I doubt it, but I will say it's clear that mistakes were made. I doubt there was a setup, but it's true that if Donald Trump was president, the Secret Service would have worked better. We wouldn't have somebody who was in over her head. She had no business being the director of the Secret Service. And the bottom line is, ultimately, and even now the Secret Service is recommending this, and I recommended this not just yesterday, but even before, is don't hold rallies outside. Don't have presidential candidates or presidents or anybody you're trying to protect at a large gathering outside. Do not do it. Do not get your protectee in an outside area where you're going to be vulnerable. It's tough enough to protect somebody inside. It's impossible to safeguard someone when they're outdoors.
No, Bob, they left the building unoccupied, and they left that roof. We had a one.
I'm saying he should not have been outside. And now the Secret Service has again advised the Trump campaign not to hold rallies outdoors. So if they hold an outdoor rally, well, they're going to take a risk. There's a risk even with indoor events, but if you insist on holding rallies, campaign events outdoors, then you're taking a huge risk. It's not something this country can afford.
Well, what's next? Are they going to ban the Super Bowl because that's outdoors?
They should. They should not allow the Super Bowl to be held in a venue that can't be secured.
They could be secured. They left the building 130 yards.
No, I'm saying, no, to increase security, hold things indoors, whether it's a campaign rally or the Super Bowl. hold it indoors. There are indoor venues for rallies and for football games. If you can't find an indoor venue, then don't hold the event.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, well then, I don't say you weren't warned. I had said it before what happened last Saturday, that these holding a lot of these things, campaign rallies or other big events where you have huge crowds outdoors, there are security risks. Don't do it. Hi, WNBF, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Bob. This is Vinny from Binghamton.
Make it fast. We only have a few seconds. I'll give you 22 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll skip that. Let's go to who I think Kamala Harris will pick as vice president. I'd like to see her pick Shapiro from Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania is a key. It's a big one, and I think just have them work that Bucks County area, and we'll get it, because that's a key area. Bucks County, Quakertown, Doylestown, Levittown, all of them right there. That's a very, very, very important area for her to get, and have Shapiro get that, work that, and then she can get out west in the Midwest and work on those. So that's just my opinion.
All right, that'd be great. Then we could probably get an interview with the vice presidential candidate. I think the governor would come on the program. That's our program for today. Baseball is coming up next. Enjoy that, as the Rumble Ponies are hosted by Flying Squirrels. You'll hear it coming up next right here on News Radio WNBF.